Welcome to Talking in Stations. It's Matterall here with Rundle. How you doing, Rundle?
Good. Welcome to the show, everyone. Rundle All-Nighter.
And we have Gregorin with us.
Evening.
It is April 12th, and we'll pick up on these headlines here. Looks like Goon Swarm lost some Supercapitals over to NC Dot. They were being traded over in previous weeks, and it was quite a fleet that got moved over. It was over $1 trillion, with trillion being pegged to prices a few months ago. So, of course, prices for supers are in flux. So $1 trillion ISK in capital ships moving from Goon Swarm to NC Dot doesn't seem like a big deal. That would be just about 10 Titans now. But this was at a time when the ISK was different. Well, let's have a look.
There's like 41 ships.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's not just like a couple. It's 41 of these things.
Yeah,
Super
that's
Caps
why.
and Titans.
That's why when I think of like a trillion ISK in Titans, it's only 10, but yeah, this is a ton of ships. So this guy, whoever he was, is 1.06. He put out a list of ships. You can see here. How many ships were they?
41.
41 ships? Wow. And these are all
Yeah.
Super Capitals or Titans.
Yeah.
So this was happening over time. And then the second set of screenshots are really each individual ship to show.
It's all the contracts, yeah. And many of these, almost all of them are rigged. And some of them are even fully fit.
Mhm.
I didn't see one that wasn't rigged. So they're all rigged. And onward and upward from there. If you keep scrolling, you'll get into some fitted ones. That's quite an incredible amount.
This one has a Sino, so that was definitely a while ago, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
Well, you can see the date on all the contract screenshots.
Well, this date issued is actually recently. That unlikely?
So the hull might still have had a Sino fit from back when that was possible.
Yeah. I mean, these are all March so far. They're all 3s, 21s. So this is recent. Yeah.
I saw a couple February 21st in here.
Well, February, March is still recent. I mean, it's all post M2.
Last few months.
Yeah. 25 more.
Yep.
Well, how big a deal is this, Rundle? Like, put it in perspective for us.
Well, okay, so there's 41 ships, right? And so if you look at kind of the number of super caps or titans that get lost in a typical battle, if the times we've had the super caps fights, right? We're talking, a handful each side. I think I've seen a report where one side alone has only lost like 41 titans total. But this individual managed to completely move 41 Titans and Super Capitals from one side to the other. So they're not blown up. It's just a complete transfer of assets. Fine, the ISK exchanged hands, but you can't fight with ISK until you reinvest it. And so from a perspective point of view, it's like re-enabling a number of pilots instantly to be able to fight the next big battle, to chew down Keepstars. These super caps specifically are a main element in the Keepstar battles, and Sodios and all the other stuff. They sit and they on tether on a Fortozar or something, and they send out their fighters, and they chew down these big structures quite quickly, relatively speaking. And so 41 of these things is enough to take down another station and continue the destruction. And it's a big swing in what's the word I'm looking for? It's a big swing in the ability to fight at that level.
This is in terms of function, it has a similar effect on the war to the Imperium losing a fleet of that many supers.
Well,
Like
41, not whole fleet. It's 41.
I'm thinking something like a similar result to that Enho fight or the 49 TAC fight.
Yeah, so 41 supers basically, and some titans switching sides. It not only puts you at a negative 41, it also is a plus 41 for your enemies. Not
Right.
just like losing them, but you're actually switching sides, which is twice as good.
There's some different reports out there. So if you look at on the Pappy side, these are losses. Pappy has lost about 112 super carriers and titans. The Imperium have lost, I'm doing the math really quickly, about 98. It's fairly close. This one transaction represents 40% of those losses in a transaction where they move from one side to the other. The last numbers I have was Imperium lost 41 super carriers and 43 Titans on the Pappy side. So those numbers are really close to the amount of Titans or super carriers that were moved here. So it's like that exact number just moved to the other side.
Yeah, I think so. They weren't just stolen or anything. These things were purchased off contracts. So somebody had a character inside of Goon Swarm. Go ahead.
Guy, if you look at his Reddit post, his story that he tells is that he had gotten tired of Goon Swarm after all of his friends had left, and first he wasn't happy with how they handled the Pittsburgh incident, but he stayed around because his friends were there. So after his friends left, he ended up deciding to do this on his way out, and he is now in Northern Coalition.
Yeah. Now, normally this kind of thing gets detected right away. They'll see somebody buying up a bunch of supers, and they'll be like, "All right, what's that guy doing?" And they, I think they pay attention to that sort of thing, especially in this situation, this most serious situation they've seen. You want to keep track of contracts and who's buying things, and if somebody is buying a bunch, you want to question that person because of exactly this sort of a thing. So I don't know how he got away with it, but he managed to kind of go under the radar somehow.
Yeah, some of these were private. I'm looking through them. Some of them are open, some of them are private. I think if they're open, if I remember how the contracts work, if it does have the little private tag in front of it, then that's he contacted him and maybe had access to a list and just contact that person, said, "Sure, I'll buy or whatever," and then took the private contract.
Yeah. So the Pittsburgh incident, for those that aren't familiar, happened. I want to say it was about a year ago or a year and a half ago, and he was an FC that did a lot of work for Imperium, and he was doing some. He did a dread bomb in test space, and kind of caused a little bit of a diplomatic situation, I suppose. But according to Tess, they didn't care. It was fine with them. But he didn't react very well by being threatened by leadership in Goon Swarm, I believe. So there was some back and forth. This was not the first time that he'd kind of done some stuff the diplomats didn't appreciate. His point of view, he was trying to keep everybody entertained, instead of just not fighting all the time. And it was a really interesting time because we looked at it as, oh, here's an FC that wants to provide content for his guys. And the diplomats are like, we have a stable situation. Don't rock the boat by hunting in territory of our more or less neutral ally Test. So it was an interesting situation, but he got thrown out by the Mittani, wrote him a letter basically saying, pack up and go, essentially, something like that. And Pittsburgh was furious, saying like he's never coming back to Imperium unless leadership changes. And so he took off. He ended up in NC Dot.
He was in Trigger Happy for a while.
Yeah, he was in Trigger Happy for a while. Then Trigger Happy fell apart, I guess, and he ended up in NC Dot. And he ends up doing in this war a ton of work for NC Dot. And NC Dot is one of the pivotal groups in this they're really putting in a lot of time, especially U.S. time zone, taking down a lot of things and preparing a lot of structures for destruction over the weekend. So Pittsburgh, again, putting in that hard work, this time against the Imperium. And so the person who did this bought up all these contracts of supers, these 41 supers, and moved them over to NC Dot, is a sympathizer of Pittsburgh's.
Yeah, so there's some, I think, in case there was a couple of people in the audience, like, how does that happen? My guess here is he had a number of characters in the Imperium, and he just didn't move them all, and he left one or two behind, and he used that to then buy them, and then he found ways to move them. It wasn't that it was necessarily a spy where he infiltrated. It was more of the, moved, and then, hey, I have an opportunity to extract from the Imperium.
Yeah, these were not stolen, by the way.
Not stolen, purchased. These are all on contract. So the value of ISK versus the equipment that was retained by the Imperium, and they get all the those players get the money, but the ability to wage war with those 41 supers was removed from the Imperium and placed into NC Dot's hands to be able to use in all the various ways that supers are being currently used right now.
Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't make too big a deal out of it because 41 in the grand scheme of things for the Imperium is not that many. But it's, every little bit counts, and this is just an unnecessary loss of them. But they have,
the thing about them is that because the cost of building supers has due to last year's mineral changes exceeded their cost of the value of supers. People haven't really been building a huge amount, so the only way to get new supers is to buy them from other people who are. And the Imperium's route to bring in new supers that they might buy in low sec is cut off right now. So every super that that they're going to have, if they need to defend the 1DQ Keepstars, it is among the supers that they have in there right now.
Yeah, but I think they have plenty more. I don't know if 41 will mean a lot.
Yeah, they have a huge amount, but that's the most significant thing about this.
Yeah, I think it's the only thing, and this will be the last thing on it, is that it's so recent, right? Like I would have thought that was something that happened because there was a lot of ships, 41. I would have thought that happened over a period of 4 months or something, but no, it happened basically in the last 2 months. Those things were purchased and moved. That's a lot.
And all the prices because of the recent
those are all
the recent changes, right? So these the Hells, I'm just currently looking at the Hells, for example, and he purchased them 13, 14 billion, and they're now going for 40. So the people who got them on the other side,
that's what I'm thinking too.
So there's even a loss of potential wealth just through the changes, right? The timing was magnificent in that regards.
Yeah.
It's like winning a lottery ticket or buying a lottery ticket and forgetting to look at it. Whoops, I won.
This guy bought a ton of a Bitcoin when it was cheap, basically.
Yeah. It's good. And a super lucky situation. Right?
Yeah. And Antar Logan's interview with TIS, he mentioned having done something similar to this a few months ago, and in the comments on this guy's Reddit post, someone claiming to be Antar Logan also mentions having done the same thing, so it might have happened a few times before.
Oh, that's a funny little thing. So Billy adds, the reality is the majority of them ended up going to test for SRP hulls. So that is interesting. Okay, and one little last piece. That this is another informant that's new, so I don't know how accurate this is, but I have heard this by more than one person, so I'll mention it. That this has been going on for a while. This is not an isolated incident. So if so, that would be very interesting because it explains a little more of the equilibrium between the two sides having about the same amount of Titans. And the Imperium had been building a ton before that, a ton. How many they're in possession of now, that's something they know that's not public, but I assume they were well into the thousands of Titans and Supers, so well into the thousands. Okay, let's go to the next thing is Fraternity and the Initiative fight over a Satio. So this is a Fraternity. We're killing an NPC Satio, which dropped the Komodo. So this is up in Garista space. And
actually, I'm pretty sure that they removed the space spawn restrictions from where NPC Sotios go.
That was Veil of the Silent.
Oh, so but it's in the north. Okay.
Yeah, Veil is Garista space, but I think they no longer have the.
So you can fight a Blood Raiders in the north somewhere. That doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense, but
I think they did it to distribute.
Yeah,
to distribute the so that not people who colonize the south would get all the Molochs and people who colonize the north would get all the Komodos. And so I guess they are random all over Nullsec, which I guess makes sense. But so this was Komodo. So this is the Satio that went down, it looks like. But the important thing here is that it dropped, and you need a freighter to carry it, but it dropped a Komodo blueprint. So here's the freighter from Fraternity. And here's the Cayman and which is a Dreadnought, and the Komodo. But this freighter was destroyed. Obviously, we're looking at a kill mail. It was killed by the Initiative, I think. Yes, the Initiative killed it. That's frustrating, right? You're carrying priceless cargo and you die. And so somebody picked up the blueprints, this Prowler, which is it's an industrial ship T2, allows you to cloak so you can hang around without being detected. And if an opportunity pops up, you decloak and you can, grab loot that dropped, which is exactly probably what happened, actually. And he picked up the Komodo. I believe this is piloted by Cable, who does this sort of thing all the time. But he was destroyed as well, and he was destroyed by Fraternity. So Fraternity kills him. They kill the thief, but they also end up killing the blueprint at the same time, and nobody gets it. So yeah.
Goodbye, 250 billion-isk.
And the thing is, you don't get
blueprint copy.
You don't get anything for doing the work on here. This is an experiment by CCP to say, here's some high-level, boss-level NPC game that you could do with your friends. You take on a Satio. The Satio has artificial intelligence, and all these NPCs, they basically match you and try to defeat you, and it's tough. But you don't get to farm those. They put all the winnings into these priceless drops, and there's only a couple per, if any. And so what this group did here in Fraternity is a lot of work and no payoff, which sucks. That was one of the things that was designed by them, was to have just a super lucrative payoff that people would fight over. And this situation is exactly what CCP wanted, people fighting over that loot drop. Okay. So let's jump back up here. Rocket X gives a Wrecking Crew Coalition update in Town Hall. He answers some questions from Coalition members. I did hear part of it. I didn't. Part of it was released, I think, by Snuff, so it was probably meant to embarrass. Rocket
Pai
X.
Wanto released notes that he took of that portion. I don't think he said anything that was an outright lie, but he definitely wanted to present his way of summarizing it was done in a way that to make RC look incompetent. That's my impression.
Yeah,
I was one of the. I listened to it while it was live.
You heard the whole thing? What was the big takeaway? Yeah. Remember, Rocking Crew has just suffered a series of defeats.
Yeah.
And especially that one in Amamaki last Tuesday. So what did he say? What's the big takeaway?
Well, they're I'm not sure if there's any particular big takeaway. It's just that he did a thing where he answered a lot of questions.
Okay, so it's just answering questions. There is a corporation that has left Wrecking Crew, right?
Yeah, there was a corporation that left Dreadbomb, and then well, on their way out, they spam pinged RC Discord to annoy everyone in there.
Well, that's classy. Guess they're not coming back. All right. So I was wondering what Rocket X was going to say to everybody in the coalition, and I was even wondering. If
Yeah, basically they're working on recovering, and that they think they'll manage to recover pretty well. But there's, in my opinion, Wrecking Crew is still adjusting to having become the size that they've grown to, which they're run by competent people, but they're competent people who've spent years doing something a lot smaller.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, there was some worry there that they weren't going to survive because they've been suffering defeat after defeat, and the third one was supposed to be a morale mission. Ended up being going the wrong way, so that's just a double whammy there. Okay, going to this next story. Horde Vanguard destroys Imperium Keepstar in Tenerifis.
Yeah, that was interesting.
What? Yeah. What's it doing in Tenerifis?
Well, Siberian squads, when they left Dead Coalition and joined Legacy, Test gave them a Keepstar in Tenerifis, which became their staging structure. So when they left a Legacy, they left that Keepstar there. So then, obviously, when they joined the Imperium, it became an Imperium Keepstar.
All right, so it's a part of the side switching that happened.
And then, yeah, this one was. So
this is a different one.
Yeah, this one had unanchored it, and they'd
unanchored a Keepstar.
Yeah. So Horde Vanguard.
Who is they?
Siberian squads.
Okay.
Horde Vanguard has over the past year disrupted a couple of different Keepstar unanchorings. Like one of the two Keepstars in Delve that got unanchored, they killed the freighter that picked it up, and they did the same thing in Pure Blind last year. So they did it again. This time they used one of their freighters to pick up the Keepstar, and then since they didn't have enough people around to hold the grid on this with the Deepwater Hooligans fleet that was covering the unanchoring, they just killed the freighter and then destroyed the freighter wreck.
Oh, I see. Okay, so Deepwater Hooligans, who are still in Tenerifis, that area, because they're the ones that are taking out, I think they're taking out a lot of legacy space, or were. So they probably were hired by Siberian Squad to take this Keepstar down and to protect it, but Horde managed to snag it?
Yes.
Okay, but Horde got destroyed in the process, so Keepstar.
Yeah, they sacrificed a few dreadnoughts and a freighter to ensure that this Keepstar couldn't be extracted.
Yeah, but I heard they did recover. It's the Hooligans recovered the core.
The core and the fit, but not the Keepstar itself.
Yeah. All right. Well, that core is
interesting way to have a Keepstar go poop.
Yeah, the core is not nothing, but
I'd rather have the Keepstar.
Yeah, I think it's like 40 billion. All right. So that was in Tenerife.
Yep.
Now, this is the big news from over the weekend. It is Monday today, but yesterday caps a weekend of 4 Keepstars being killed. Some other structures were destroyed in Delve. One of the Keepstars did not generate a kill mail. That's the second time this conflict that's happened. And the Doom Clock suggests that 3 more will be reinforced this week in order to get weekend kill mails again. If this happens, by the way, the weekend before last was 6 Keepstars in one weekend. This last weekend was 4 Keepstars. And next weekend looks like 3 more if everything goes as planned. That's 13 Keepstars in 3 weeks, really mostly on weekends. That's an astounding destruction rate because these things have, of course, a lot of timers. They have damage caps. Everything takes time. So they're just moving at a fast clip in Delve right now, just demoing the place.
A lot of Satios as well in the last 7 days. Fortizars. Just a lot of destruction going on. And all around, actually.
So the countdown here, this means, oops, let's see. Right, so these are the 3.
Yep.
They should go down on the weekend. I only see 2. This is, oh, that's when they were reinforced. No, there's only 2 here, not 3.
Yeah, 9 days, midweek next week.
Yeah, so these 2 are weekends.
Yep.
The PS94, I recognize that system. I think we were just there.
I was there earlier today, shooting some structures.
Good for you. Yeah, that is something just happened there. It was Satio, I think, that went down. It was very expensive. Well, anyway, this whole area is just getting worked.
Oh, Khan's here. What's up, Khan?
Hey, what's up, man?
Oh, hi, Khan. All right, so I think that's our news. Let's see. 4 Keepstars, Horde capturing and losing a Keepstar. Goon Swarm losing capitals, supercapitals. And there you go. Khan, how are you doing?
I'm well. How are you, Metro?
Good. I'm not sure I can hear you very well. Let me see how you're registering. Oh, look at you. You're on cam. What's up?
Nothing much. Am I coming in loud and clear?
You're a little quiet, but
Not
I'll turn
really.
you up. You wanted to talk about mining at some point. Are you ready to do that, or do you want to do it a different day?
Well, we were planning on. Are we live right now?
Oh yeah, we're
We
live. In case you don't know.
Sorry about that. This is awkward. Just getting home from work. But yeah. So just a quick little plug here. We were talking about setting up a mining show for Sundays. So that's when I was planning on doing something. But I can kind of give you a little bit of a taste of what I'm interested in, kind of going over. Basically, I wanted to do like a kind of brief description of all the different types of mining ships that you can expect to fly in HiSec and what my biased opinion on each fitting would be useful for. Like, say, for example, there's 2 different types of coveter fits that I like to use. Don't usually use them, but they're useful in certain situations. One is fitted with, this is max yield, basically. One would be fitted with mining upgrades, and then in the mid slot it would have navigation computers. And basically, it would only be fitted for just max mining yield, mining drones, mining rigs, all that jazz. And then I have one for kind of like a semi mid tank where it's bulkhead, damage control, and tank in the shield slots, and just things like that. Go over different Orca fittings, just to kind of make it kind of a relaxed stream, nothing too serious.
Yeah. Your hand's right by your camera, so I feel like I'm your mouse.
Well, I unfortunately didn't have enough time to get my proper.
That's your laptop,
camera.
probably. Yeah, I recognize.
So this is actually my phone, actually.
Oh, you're on
I'm
your
using my
phone.
Yeah.
Wild. Well, yeah, we're looking forward to that. So we'll go over some mining fits, some options for miners, and that sort of thing. And then we may actually do a series of these shows to get people more acquainted with harvesting and some good techniques on how to do that sort of thing. Do you do any gas huffing by any chance?
I did not, unfortunately. I haven't done it before.
Not your thing? Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll figure that out. We'll have some mining advice from Khan here. Khan is from Dam Fam, which is a group in Hamatar, actually near Rennes.
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah. By the way, these changes look like they may drop tomorrow. I mean, Tuesday is usually when patch day is, and we think, was it tomorrow the 13th? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We think the hunt is ending tomorrow, so they may actually give us some blueprints for those reactions that are going to be necessary, the brand new reactions.
And I was hearing that what they were going to talk about with T2 production was going to be later in the month. So if you want 2 weeks between them, that would have to be tomorrow and 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, they may adjust plans. They didn't say that officially. That was, I think, something that came out of CCP's stream. One of the players said that, but I'm not sure that was a official announcement. So we'll see. Their timeline to me is a little confusing, but I thought they were going to do it in 2 stages, and so we expect the middle of April will be the first stage, and then the end of April will be the next stage. That's kind of what we're going with, but we don't know. They could just delay for all we know. All right. Was there anything else? I want to do a quick peek. Let me bring back up the screen.
There was something that I didn't know if this came up, but there was a little bit of a skirmish in Llama.
Where?
2 days ago in Llama.
Llama, okay.
Llama.
Llama. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, though. Here.
I think it was a abandoned Astrahus. Dock workers killed it, and just to kind of give you a brief description, the lost mail was about 3.9 billion, and how about this? Are you able to pull up Llama on here? There you go.
Yeah.
Just pull it up on the kill.
On the kill board?
Yes.
Well, actually, I can probably go through the map to do that. Let's see. Here's Llama.
Well, I wanted to go over the lost mail of the structure and then kind of explain what exactly happened afterwards, so everybody can kind of get a perspective on it.
I'm looking at the kill mails from that system now.
So it should be a few days ago for a corporation called Skirmish or something like that. It was killed by dock workers. While you're looking at it, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll open it up in the actual Z kill board if I can. There's so many things are dying, little things dying in the system that it'll take me a while to find it that way.
Well, there's a reason for that. So all these ships that had ejected from the hangars. So let me back up. So the thing that happened after the structure was killed was that dock workers had came in, the Amarians came in, and a whole bunch of random locals had all came to basically steal all the loot that was dropping from the structure. And while they were doing that, you had people like dock workers actually killing the people that were grabbing ships and stealing the loot from the cans, because you know how to. Just in case nobody understands, what happens with abandoned structures is not only do you get the major hangar loss mail from the structure, but you also get all of the loot that was left from whoever had left items there. After the structure was killed, there was just a lot of shenanigans that was happening. People were stealing the loot. Pirates were obviously killing the ships that were ejecting just to get easy kill mails, and then you had the pirates also fighting within themselves. Malicious mineral hounds were fighting some people out there. Dock workers were there. I think the Amarians also showed up with their own fleet as well. So it was a lot of chaos. It was kind of interesting. I know personally I had gained about 900 million worth of loot. So basically from unfitted ships and some fitted ships. My coolest one that I had gotten was a faction fitted Garmer that I've never actually had before, so that was cool. I think somebody also said there was a jump raider that had got out too, which was also pretty cool. But basically, it was just a lot of fun. You know, the structure was dead. People got to go just, you know, enjoy the low sec free loot, if you will.
Yeah, giant pinata. All the kids jumped in.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. All right. Anything else that we want to go over before we take off?
Yeah, if we should put this in the show link. This is a fun kill mail to go look at. If you, this is on the 10th. I just wanted a quick comment because if you were to scroll back a few pages, if you go to that system and then you just scroll back a few pages to the 10th, then you can see where all the loot dropped. And this, it's all under Schneck, and it is pages and pages of ships where it's just kills after kills, because the ship, because it dropped all the stuff. Yeah,
Oh,
right
here
there,
they are.
Defender. So like, yeah, Condor, all the same guy. All, and I scrolled through 4 pages of this, and
Wow.
it's incredible. It's incredible. So if you ever want to know what happens, this is a great example of what happens. You know, if you have just stuff sitting I guess, what is this? It's completed, but it hasn't been put into a player's hangar or a corp hangar for asset safety. Correct? I think that's how this works.
Correct. Yeah, when it's
Right.
abandoned, it doesn't go into asset safety. Just
Right.
to see gems.
So this is one guy, it looks like.
Well, no, it gets attributed to this is. I think this is Schneck is the owner of the Astor House, and I suspect Defender 90. If I dug in, he is the executor of Schneck. I think, and so it gets all attributed to him.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So his poor kill board.
Yeah.
Just took an ass kicking.
Way to destroy
Yeah.
the
You're not
kill
gonna
board.
recover.
Yeah. So if you know, I just bring that up because sometimes people aren't quite sure, or these are these fascinating little quirks of the game when this happens. How the mechanics of the Citadels work is a great example of what happens when all these jobs are happening and no one has gone and collected them or finished them, or they're finished but they haven't collected them, and the structure gets abandoned, and like, holy loot pinata, loot fairy showed up that day in spades, big time. So, anyways, fun kill. I'm glad you brought that. I enjoy that.
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
All right, thanks,
It was
Gunn.
cool.
Yeah, you were there, or did you hear about it? How'd you get associated with it?
Well, it's funny actually how it turned out. So, UK and DanFem and UK was basically in Botsburg trying to reinforce and another Amarian structure, which I think this corporation is kind of like tied to them in a way. Obviously, the Amarians came in with a superior fleet that we weren't able to defend it or counter it. And it just so happened that somebody was like, "Oh, dock workers are in Le Mans. Like, I wonder what they're up to." And then we went to the structure and we found out, oh, it's abandoned. So one of our guys went out there and was like, "Oh, they're actually gonna kill it." So we all rushed over there and we were sitting cloaked and stuff. And then after, and this is actually funny, I had died. I had lost a covert ops hauler. I was trying to like sneak up to it. I got there too early and I ended up dying and had to fly back. But we basically we just heard about it luckily and we went over there and it turned into a complete utter mess afterwards.
Yeah.
But it was very fun. Very fun.
4 pages of destruction.
Yeah, so I'm even learning here. Yeah, the CEO, by the way, is not that Defender 90. So maybe I don't know how that gets attributed to that poor guy, but I looked at his kill board. It's just he's 50-50 now. It's just a mess of red.
He was like 98% efficient until today.
Probably was.
Another funny thing that had happened too that I'll kind of shut up about. One of the FCs in Ushra Khan, Harkon Torsen, he actually had like 10 Reapers that were docked there. And it was funny in Fleet. He was like, Harkon Torson's lost mail. Harkon Torson's lost mail. He did that like 8 times, and we had basically found out that people were just ejecting all of the ships into space, just trying to like board them and run, and then he was just losing his Reapers over it again because people were just looking for free kills. He's like, thanks guys. We chose. So he obviously, what I'm basically saying is he obviously took 10 lost mails for Reapers that he didn't even like use. He just had them left there and abandoned there in that structure. That was pretty funny. Yeah.
All right. Wild. All right. We got to go before the internet crashes again. We'll be back tomorrow. Maybe it's a patch day. Maybe it's not. But we do know the hunt ends tomorrow. So get your last day of hunting in. All right. Khan, thanks for bringing those stories. Really appreciate it. Rundle and Gregorian, thanks for hanging out, giving us some information. We will see you guys next time on Talking in Stations.